United Airlines now apologizing and offering a $500 travel voucher after a passenger accused the airline of giving her first-class seat to Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, telling the woman her reservation had been canceled, then giving her a seat in Economy Plus. The flight was from Houston to Washington. United says it upgraded Jackson Lee automatically and not because she's a member of Congress. The Congresswoman in a statement says that she did not ask for anything exceptional or out of the ordinary.
Well, the U.S. cutting $285 million from the UN's budget, from our contribution to the UN's budget next year. Ambassador Nikki Haley vowing, quote, "We will no longer let the generosity of the American people be taken advantage of or remain unchecked. You can be sure we'll continue to look at ways to increase the UN's efficiency while protecting our interests."
And the UN's not going to be having as much, $285 million out of their budget. Why is the actions that Nikki Haley took, obviously through the president, why is this so important?
Well, I think the problem with the UN is that it was the Second World War victory parade preserved in aspic, and that was a great idea in 1945. The majority of members didn't exist as independent nations in 1945, and now you have a situation where essentially the dictatorships vote en masse, vote as a bloc. The 58-member Organization for Islamic Cooperation, for example, is a monolithic bloc, and the democracies are outvoted. And half the democracies are anyway just people who strike attitudes, like the European Union did mostly with the Israel vote. And so it's simply not an effective vehicle for America. And America, by the way, just to accentuate the cultural differences, you guys aren't imperialists. So when you found yourself top dog in the world in 1950, instead of having a conventional empire, you set up these multilateral institutions to work through them. And one of the results of that is that you diminish your own voice and you bulk up all these pipsqueak poses.
What impact do you think it's going to have? Because the Trump administration is clearly sending a message to the UN. Will it have an impact?
Yeah, I think it will. I think if he's serious. I mean, Trump is the one guy who would do it. If you think of previous Republican presidents, the first George Bush was the kind of guy who could name off the top of his head the deputy trade minister of the South Sandwich Islands. He thought multilaterally like that. And George W. Bush was a bit like that. But Trump I think, is serious, and he is the one guy who could actually roll back the UN. 22%. Why should one nation fund 22% of the costs of a club with 200 members?
And then get outvoted and indicted by that very club.
Yeah, exactly. So these guys all have their stupid anti-American vote and then stick U.S. taxpayers with the tab.
It's important.
Senator Jeff Flake with a warning for President Trump. The Arizona Republican suggesting the president's words and actions are leaving him open to a primary challenge. And Flake is not ruling out being that challenger after announcing he will not seek re-election to the Senate next year.
I do wonder, and I do worry, that in the future we'll be faced with maybe President Trump running for re-election on one side, drilling down hard on a diminishing base, and on the other side you might have you know, somebody like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren on the far left of the Democratic Party. That leaves a huge swath of voters in the middle that may be looking for something else.
But you are open to running for president in 2020.
I don't rule anything out. But
A potential major shakeup towards the top, very top of the FBI, as Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, otherwise known as Andy in those text messages, is reportedly set to retire early next year after being grilled on the Hill twice for 7.5 hours about anti-Trump bias within the agency.
We have GOP Congressman Louis Gohmert, who is a member of the House Judiciary Committee, who's with us now to give us some reaction to that announcement that he may retire. And, of course, Andrew McCabe has been at the center of great controversy. His wife was the one that received political donations from Governor Terry McAuliffe, a close Clinton ally. He was also part of that email exchange between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, talking about the insurance policy as well. So what are your thoughts on this potential retirement and what it means for the overall investigation?
Well, I sat in on questioning last week of Andy McCabe, and that was supposed to be confidential. I won't betray that confidentiality, but he doesn't remember some things the same way that Mueller and some of the others do, but he can't go fast enough. Anybody that has that much disrespect for the Republican Party, for the President of the United States, this goes way beyond just having a political opinion like everybody does. This is things that affect your judgment. So Mueller, I have said since day one, since he was appointed, he's bad news. He's out for a scalp. He would love to get Trump's scalp. He would love to be the hero of the left to take out Donald Trump. He will do everything he can to do that. And Mueller is not going to be deterred by these people falling around him. He wants a scalp, and he'd love to get POTUS. If he cannot get the president, he will, like we've seen, he'll take a Mike Flynn, and it was kind of sad the way that all happened.
Sure.
But we're in some dangerous water right now. Mueller's going forward.
Now for some quick headlines. A topless woman tries to swipe the baby Jesus from a nativity scene at the Vatican. Oh, I wish we could tell Hegseth and Stein right now. They're having a blast. The feminist activist was tackled by police just hours before Pope Francis's Christmas message. Speaking of cold, a little cold to water ski. Well, not for Santa. This is the Potomac River here in Washington, where, as you can tell, Santa is taking a break from delivering presents to hit the water. It is an annual tradition, they say here in the Washington area. The big guy and his friends, as you can see, tooling around on various watercrafts, snowmen, elves, polar bears, and there is the jet skiing Grinch taking to the waves. According to this, they have been doing this for decades here in Washington, and it's organized by local residents as a unique way to spread holiday cheer. I'm not sure what the cheer is, but it is definitely unique.
I'm feeling the cheer. I think I may love this.
You do?
I would love to go see it in person. I would also say that bonus, I don't think there's jellyfish in the Potomac at this kind of year. This time of year.
And these guys are pretty brave because they often cancel the swimming portion of the Washington, D.C. triathlon because of how dirty the Potomac is. So these are very brave Santas and Grinches as well.
They are. They are taking risks.
Yeah, there you go.
We commend them for it.